Yes, people. We are back. We are back again. And yeah, we talked about some camp battles that we have. We talked more about the defense because there was a lot to unpack there. And actually, there's a lot to unpack on the offensive side. So get a snack, get ready because we about to go in. Sammy, go ahead and bring us in.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. And Bill Show.
An interception! Marlon Jackson! Marlon's got it! We're going to the Super Bowl! We're going to the Super Bowl! Marlon Jackson with the interception! He picked off Tom Brady!
The sickest Indianapolis Colts podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Yes, and it is in fact sick. Before we get started, go ahead, bring us in the way that we always bring us in with that anvil. Yes, sir. Welcome back to the Sick Podcast Anvil Show. I am one of your hosts, CJ, and we have with us, of course, a familiar face. let the people know about your vacation, Poppy.
First off, I don't have no vacation going on. I'm just living life. But it is the summer, so I apologize. I have not been as on time as I should be. But we got the B team filling in. Appreciate them boys coming in last week, doing what they need to. Acosta, appreciate you. Pat, he's kind of A team, but he's more B team. He get a little penny. He don't get a jersey. But you know what it is. Dang. Anyway. Hey, I shoot the jabs that are shot at me, and they're not here to defend themselves. So right now, it's 1-0 Clyde. You do?
Hey, listen, I'm the A team. Just to let y'all know because we ain't gonna just skim over that one. Okay, A team CJ. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna get that one out the way now. But yeah, so last week we discussed some things. We did camp battles. We did defense. We broke down all the way from front seven all the way to secondary. Went over all that good stuff. This week, we're discussing the offense. And, you would think that, like I said, there's some guys who are just going to be in. They're going to be fine. Oh, by the way, hey, happy birthday, Teresa. Just want to let you know, happy birthday. I know it's just like the birthday I believe was yesterday. But either way, happy birthday to the fans. And like I said, it's just like we want to make sure we reach out. So definitely want to make sure y'all aware. So happy birthday, Teresa. Appreciate y'all.
Happy birthday, Teresa.
And yeah, so we're going to be going over everything offense this week. However, before we do, I'm going to say it now and we're going to say it afterwards. July 28th, that will be this upcoming Monday. Or it's going to be, this upcoming Monday. We will actually, no. Following Monday. Following Monday, during training camp, they will actually be doing a meet and greet with Drew Ogletree, and that's going to be tailgate crew, everybody. That means that it's just like they will be out there in full effect. You'll get a chance to take pictures. You'll get a chance to chop it up with Drew Ogletree. That's going to be July 28th. Okay, and so make sure for more details, make sure that you're either going to the Twitter page at SickPodColts, or you're actually going and you're staying tuned on the Facebook page as well. So definitely want to make sure that we just go into that. So
it's what the Anvil does, man. We told y'all a long time ago, we're going to get all our fans as much access as possible. And we have made some great friends, and Drew is one of those. Mm-hmm. So this is just another opportunity. Absolutely. Can't wait to see you, Brian. All right, let's jump into this, man, because apparently I missed some good conversation last week. Camp battles, camp bodies, whatever it is. Let's talk about it.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's like I said, I know that I mentioned that, there's guys that we know for a fact are going to be like your regulars, right? So like, for example, and we're going to go all the way through. I think we can start from O-line back, right? So for example, O-line, who are going to be the guys that that are going to be the guaranteed starters?
Okay. Q.
Yep.
Braden.
Yep.
Bernie.
Yep.
New kid at center. Damn.
Bortolini.
So that really leaves one spot, and that's right guard, which is, you know what I mean? So is it going to be Danny Pinter? Is it going to be I don't think we brought Glowinski back, right? Glow's not
I
back.
thought we did. I
Did we
thought
bring
we
up?
did, but I thought that he might be more depth. But I know it's
Okay.
just like right now, as it stands, I think it might be. If it's not Glowinski, then I think they kind of have Pinner on. I think they have Pinner kind of doing double duty for backup in terms of
Okay.
either backing up Bortolini and Gonsalves, since he's also played both positions.
Yeah. And that's what I was gonna say. Is it gonna be Gonzalez? What do you think? How you think
I
he played this year?
So I think it's going to be Gonsalves, but I think part of the reason why I believe it's Gonsalves is because of the fact that I think this O line is kind of going to be moving into a different direction. Like
Mm.
I could see this line because with Bortolini and Gonsalves, I think you are going to see a different look for how they are. I think this is possibly going to be a quicker O line, a little bit more run centric, whereas
Oh,
what we had before was going to be, Ryan Kelly was going to be a great pass blocker. Wasn't that great when it came to the run blocking, but it was serviceable enough. But I think now with the way that this team is going to go, because mind you, now you have two quarterbacks who can run the exact same system, whereas you had AR and Minshew, different QBs because you didn't have a QB. Because Minshew could move, but he just wasn't that mobile, and then
mm-hmm,
he didn't have that great of an arm.
mm-hmm.
And then after that you have Joe Flacco, who I mean honestly, it's just like if you put Gumby in a freezer, then that's what you got with Joe Flacco in terms of mobility and overall ability. But now you have
uh,
Daniel Jones, who has a mobility similar to what AR has, maybe not the arm, but at least then you know that now you don't have to change how you don't have to change what the O line looks like, or you don't have to change the looks because of who's in the backfield.
no, yeah, that's 100%, and I feel like that's in all of the uncertainty we might have with the QB. The one thing that is certain is we shouldn't have to do too many things drastically different no matter who's in there. I think that that's a win in itself. So starting with the position group that matters the most to the quarterback, that is the O line,
Mhm.
they get to be comfortable in knowing that, oh God, we don't have a statue back there. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying?
Mhm.
Or, oh God, the statue is out, the fast kid is back. Oh, switch it to the next gear, right? Like they're practicing in the same sense of playing no matter who's going to be QB. So I think that that is a win for them. I don't know why most teams don't look to have that be something that is the norm, because you see all around the league, you'll have a guy that's mobile, and then the guy that comes in, he might not be Joe Flacco, but he's not as mobile as their starter. So that's kind of a
Yeah.
unique situation. But I feel like that's going to give them more confidence in how they grow, because their checks should be the same now, right?
Yeah.
The way that they are, looking to move and battle and get to the next level should always stay the same, because they're like, no matter who's behind us, we got to be prepared for that guy to be mobile. So I think it's a win, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. And and like I said, I think the way that you're going to have like the blocking, like the way that you have the guys coming in, and that's going to be with the other position group that we're going to be talking about a little bit later on, but with the running backs. Now you have a line that is going to be athletic enough that is going to be able to move and shift around to allow for some of the younger guys, some of the guys who, have that receiving capability to be able to work their way, I'm going to say, in and out of the backfield, to where now defenses are going to really, really, with some of the moves that were made, defenses are going to have to look at the middle of the field, as opposed to before where you're basically just looking on the outsides. And if you are looking at the middle, then you're looking at the deep middle. Now there's
Mhm.
going to be much more of a sense of urgency, I'm going to say, for that short to intermediate middle where we generally didn't go a lot before.
Yeah.
So,
And are we moving to that position already? Have we
well,
kicked it
well,
to the
we
tight end?
Well,
Not yet.
yes,
Okay.
we're moving. No, we're moving over to tight end. We're moving over to tight end.
Okay.
We're moving over surely. We're moving over surely. So now tight
Okay.
end group.
All right.
Tyler Warren, Luck, right?
Oh, absolutely. TE1.
Now, and this is something where, like I said, because we know, you hear different things. From what I understand, you have three tight ends this year. Mo Ali Cox, because he's on a 1-year deal. Jelani Woods, because he's at the end of his rookie deal. And then you also have Drew Ogletree, who's also due up for a deal this year. You have those three guys who are all looking for deals, but supposedly there's only one contract for that particular room. And out of those three, those are the three that need to be re-signed. So
you think there's only one contract out of there?
There's
you
only
think we're
one.
gonna? So you're saying that potentially next year we look to draft again?
I say it with full confidence. There is one contract between those three that's going to be able to be had.
Okay. All right. It sounds like you got insider information, and if you do, I'm here for it. But I think I beg to. I think I differ, and the reason why I think there's two to be had. I think that currently we just have to hold on to Mo because nobody wanted him, and we overpaid years ago, and he just never told me that. Okay, I see. So cool. All right, one to be had. Maybe not. But I will say this though. I believe that Jelani, if he's fully healthy, is going to be tight end 2 because of the athletic ability and explosiveness that he can have and the havoc that he creates as just a matchup nightmare. A 6'7" guy that can run decent, has a decent pair of hands, and who's guarding him? A nickel? Like, let's be for real. Like, imagine Kenny Moe at what, 5'11", 6 foot maybe? I think Kenny Moe 5'10". I don't know. Imagine him on Jelani Woods. What are we doing? Right? So if you can constantly make that the mismatch while you still have a better route runner, a more fluid guy as your one, that being Tyler Warren, man, come on, bro. Come on, man. Your two tight end sets can look crazy. Now you're still going to have your blocking capabilities that come in from Ogletree and stuff like that. He's still going to be very vital in that route. But I look for Mo Alley, honestly, to see a lot of decreased minutes because honestly, like, it's no disrespect to him. I've enjoyed his time. He's had some great moments, but we just got stuck with a contract we could never offload, and now we just kind of like, you're like, all right, well, we're gonna let him play it out. You know what I'm saying? Instead of cutting him and having to eat whatever we would have to eat on his contract. So I really think those three, and then we still got Fries, right? Like, does he make the roster? You know what I'm saying? The Fries. What's his name? Not what?
Mallory.
Fries. Mallory, Jesus Christ. Well, I'm talking about Will Fries. Will Mallory. We still got him who can be a matchup, nightmare too because of his speed and stuff like that. But he's, he hasn't been healthy either. So, but yeah, I say a healthy Jelani. Man, I got to give him a slight nod at 2, and that's no offense to Drew. It's just that I think that he becomes a nightmare 6'7". Anybody that's trying to guard him. Like, there's no more Cam Chancellors in the league. There's no more what was that other tall corner they had out in Seattle?
Brandon Browner.
Brandon Browner. There's not a lot of 6'5" dudes running around playing corner or safety these days. You know what I'm saying? So that if he could just be a decent, receiving option where he's like open 50% of the time and you give him a chance, that's going to be a nightmare for a lot of defenses in my mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I'm going to say I get where you're coming from, but also I think, for me personally, like, Mo Alley-Cox is the de facto odd man out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the only reason why I say that is because he's had years to establish himself as the guy, and even with those opportunities, it's still been a room where you've allowed others to be able to essentially jump you when all you had to do was just make sure that you were being as consistent as possible. Like, I think I talked about it last week where, I saw the flash when, we played Miami in Miami during the year we had Carson Wentz.
Mm-hmm.
And the crazy thing was that when we played them that year, he had that game where he just had like these crazy catches. Like he was dragging one defender, like literally was in there just
One
almost
hand
operating
joints.
at will. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, but the thing is, that was like the best game that he had that season because he wasn't able to, I'm going to say, do anything really after that. And so
Yeah.
then, you know, you go and we get Jelani Woods, and Jelani Woods is great. And then he gets hurt, and we haven't seen him since.
It's crazy. That's been 2 years. Like what?
Yes.
Like 2 years out.
and that's ultimately like that's the craziest part about all this, because I feel like it's always been Jelani Woods's, like it's always been his role to have. He just has never been healthy enough to actually go and take the reins and really just take it and just be like, no, this is mine. Y'all are fighting over 2, 3, and 4. So at this point, it's just like, I don't think it's ever been a question of talent. It's always been a question of health. So I mean, at this
that's
point,
great.
if he has another season where he's not healthy, right? I feel like if Drew Ogletree is able to play all 17, he's able to be fine. He goes through camp. He's able to be available during the season. It's his job. Like he's tied in too. And I mean, honestly, it's just like I like the upside of both him and Jelani, but I think it's also like Jelani has to pull together a full season because he ain't played one yet.
So see, this is my thing with the whole, like, when you create competition, it's warranted, it's needed, but then it also creates like a lot of like weird feelings about, well, what's the right move? Because we have brought in a lot of players that don't share a lot of the same like talents, right? So
Yeah.
you're not really like looking at these players in a window where it's like, what are you going to consider the need of the team? You know, like, and what I mean by that is like, because Chris Ballard has assembled a bunch of dudes that do a lot of different things. Like, let's say, for instance, you know, Mo Alley and, you know, Drew are no longer on the roster. Those are your best two blockers. Now what? You know what I'm saying? Like, they might not be your best receiving options, but they're your best two blockers. So I feel like that's the weird space that you're in, because he's not bringing players to be like, okay, these players are equal across the board. I'm just going to see which one's going to turn out to be the best. Like, because they have different skill sets, and like in a lot of ways, and again, this is cut toward, you know, like Jelani, or not Jelani, no cut toward like Drew or any other players like that. But like Drew was more of a utility guy, right? Like he might not ever stack a stat sheet. He might not ever have a game where he had 9 catches for 140 and 2 tuds. That might not ever happen in his career, but you won't give him credit right off the bat because you didn't see it. Like, oh shit, he was the one that, you know, blew the hole open for JT to take it 70 yards. He was the guy, you know, that did the chip block on the tight end screen to, you know, Tyler Warren, who took it, you know, to the house for 25 yards. Like, he does that type of yeoman's work that doesn't maybe get captured in his stat sheet. So do you just cut him because his stats are not the best? Like, that's the frustrating part of this competition build, but the players not having the same qualities. Because what are you really evaluating? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the hard part. And I think the tight end group is the hardest one to do that. Now, I know they haven't performed, you know, like they should have, you know, and Granson's already gone. But I'm saying, like, if you look at who our tight ends were over the last 5 years, none of those guys were like, they got the same skill set. Let's just see who's the best. They all were different. You know what I mean? So that's a hard judge to me.
Yeah. But you know, I think if I'm looking at everybody in that room, right? And just taking everything as it is, to me, it's like Jelani Woods probably has the most upside, but to me, I think Drew Ogletree is that guy who can be like the sneaky guy. And and like I said, just him being able to do it, because, you know, I think some of the things that we saw last season in terms of just like the low lights. What's going on, Kev?
What's up,
Some
Kevin?
of the things that we see in terms of like the low lights from last season are things that we don't know whether or not he's going to be that guy, right? Now, once again, we talked to him at Josh Downs' camp. He says all the prep work that he's been doing, making sure he's taking care of his body, making sure in preparation for the season, working with the jugs machine, working on actually juggling. Like that in and of itself is like, oh, dedication to the craft. Cool. But that's all the more reason why I think there's an awareness now, and even before that, because I know that the players hear the talk, and I know when we talk to them, we're just like, hey, we don't know whether we're gonna take, Tyler Warren or whatever it is, but it is what it is. But then we also see him at Kenny Moore's camp. It's just like, all right, we got Tyler Warren. Like, what are your thoughts? He's just like, mission's the same.
Facts.
And it's just like he knows, like, yeah, you're gonna have to do what you need to do, but that's also going to be something that's extremely important to kind of, I'm gonna say, get the gist of, because, like I said, it's just like there's only gonna be but so many contracts to go around.
Yeah,
and I mean, Mo's 30 this year, and
Yeah.
still hasn't truly established himself as somebody who's going to be able to even remotely be something outside of, let's just say, like a backup tight end at best.
facts. I
So
agree.
like I said, we have this room, and then also you got Will Mallory. If he puts together a healthy season, he's breathing down everybody's neck.
I agree.
So
Just because he's more of a receiver that you're putting inside, and that's a nightmare in itself, because he can run, smoother than most tight ends and things like that, and that's going to create matchups, that linebackers and nickelbacks are not going to like. But again, he's had his opportunities too. Drops, he's had some drops. He's ran wrong routes. I mean, all types of things. And these guys are young, and I think Chris Ballard kind of addressed that in the offseason as it began. He's like, look, I haven't maybe done my due diligence in that position group, and I need to get these guys some help, talking about the quarterbacks and whatnot. And he did that with Tyler Warren for sure. But if I had to put money on it, and I'm like, look, we're keeping 3. It would be Drew, it would be Jelani, and it would be Tyler. That would,
okay.
and like you said, de facto out is Mo, and maybe Mo would get a little bit of the edge or the knot because of what he's making. Right, he's still making decent money. Just to kind of be name on the roster or off the roster, so he might get a bit of a nod for that. But outside of that, nah.
Okay.
Like, that's just where I am with that.
All right.
What's next?
Well, actually, we got to go to some of these comments. So
All right,
we have
let's do it.
Teresa saying we have to keep him in the game. He's missed a lot, Jelani. I thought Mo would have left before now. She said Brittany Griner is 6'9", and she ain't no she. Just putting that out there. I don't know what that means. But you know what? We're just going to, we're gonna, all right. We're gonna just not. Drake Wally, friend of the podcast, says I bought a Jelani jersey. Damn it. It's good to have.
Drake.
It's good to have.
Yeah, it's good to have. It is good to have. Hopefully, it could get worn this season, because it's been dusty for 2 seasons, right? But
yeah, we've been waiting on that for a minute. So yes. So then moving to the next group, wide receivers, right? And I don't think that there's necessarily a big discussion regarding the wide receivers. However, I'm going to pose a question to you.
All right.
So you have Alec Pierce, who's due up for a deal this year.
Facts.
Josh Downs is due up next year.
Yeah.
Now, of course, you have AD, who's going into year 2, who would essentially be going after Josh Downs' year. Is there a scenario where at some point or another, let's just say looking down the line, that you keep all 4 and they're all 4 signed to deals?
The 4th being Michael Pittman, right?
Well, yeah, because Michael Pittman's already on a deal right now.
He's already on a deal. Yes, and maybe the audience and hell, just Colts Nation in general might not like what I'm about to say. It's something that I've been saying for some time now on the show. I'm all about the wide receiver by committee. And what I mean by that is, now we just talked about how different skill sets are, but in the wide receiver room, skill sets have to be different. I feel like you got to have that tough guy who's going to go get the 7-yard, dig, 7-yard in route. He's going to get hit by the linebacker, and he's still going to make the catch. That's Michael Pittman. Knock his helmet off, whatever, give him some smelling salts, come back in the game. That's Mike Pittman. You got to have the guy that's just unguardable. And it's not really because Josh Downs is the fastest guy, but his route running and his quicks, he's damn near unguardable, especially when he's not on the line. When he's off the line in the slot, hang it up. So you got to have that guy. You got to have the deep ball guy. Send him deep. He's the fastest dude on the field, and he's going to, show that he can catch the ball in traffic. That's where Alec Pierce grew up last year. And I think that you have that. And last but not least, because he hasn't shown it yet, because he's the youngest of them all, you got to have who is the best overall receiver, route running, being able to create space, the whole thing. I think that's going to be AD, but he's got to catch the ball better. But I think that's going to be AD. And I think there's a world where all of these guys, they live together comfortably. I mean, at some point, that you might start seeing them do this, where it's like, oh, last year you had 1150. This year I got 1150. You went, and I think they'll all be okay with that because they're competing amongst themselves, but we're still putting the numbers out on the field. But the day of you just need two guys, the Marvin and Reggie, like we might need to let that go, right? We might need to let that go and focus on look, we got 4 solid guys right now who can really get the job done if we get good quarterback play. And so it's got to start with whoever's under center, but I feel like the guys are there. And I live in a world where all of them coexist because I just don't think that you're going to be as solid as you used to be back in the day when the league wasn't as pass happy. You're like, yeah, I got 2 guys that can get it done on the outside. Or sometimes I got one guy who really gets it down and then a couple other guys that kind of just bring up, the rear. But I mean, we were always lucky to have Marvin and Reggie for as long as we did as a tandem. But yeah, man, like that to me, that's kind of dead, bro. Because you look at some of the teams that are winning. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs showed up in the Super Bowl last year, and who was the wideouts, bro? Who were they?
Yeah.
I mean, it was Kelsey doing the yeoman's work as tight end, but on the wideout was random every week. You know what I mean? Like one week it's the rookie Xavier or Worthy. I mean, 1 week it'll be him, and the next week it'll be whoever, and then 1 week they'll have a good week together. And Mahomes just found a way to get it done. Yeah. But we have 4 guys that I think are quality. They might not be the guys that come to name, as soon as you think like who's the best receivers. Of course not. You got Justin. Why can't I think anybody's name tonight? Justin, what's his damn name? Jefferson. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. All those guys going to jump to the top of the list, as 1A, 1B receivers. We don't have that, but I like the core that we got. And there's
you got to add Garrett Wilson to that now because now he's 4 years, $130 million richer.
With unproven quarterback throwing on the ball. I mean, you got to do what you got to do to keep your players.
Yeah, that was not a compliment. That was not a compliment.
Oh, okay.
He got overpaid.
Well, he's an Ohio State kid too, and you know how I feel about that. But I'm just going.
Yeah, but no. I mean, Ohio State bias aside, absolutely not.
Yeah, I know. I agree wholeheartedly. But I mean, he was rookie of the year, right? Or whatever. Wasn't he like co-rookie of the year or something? When he because remember him and Sauce. Like Sauce won it for defense, he won it for offense. Wasn't that the same?
It could might be. Might be like for, I think it's like same team or whatever it was.
Yeah, I thought they won it for the league. I thought Sauce was defensive guy and he was the offensive guy 3 years ago. I thought. I could be making that up. Somebody check me. Is Adam J on? Adam is usually good at putting me in my place. But I thought it was a thing. But anyway, yeah, that's neither here nor there because he's not a Colt. But I said that to say I like our guys. Now it sounds so much like Chris Ballard. Wow. But in this case, I like our guys because I was not initially sold on Alec Pierce. I can't remember who I wanted in that draft when he came out, Pickens. But I think I was.
You probably wanted George Pickens because we needed a wide receiver, and I think you definitely wanted George Pickens because I think that was the time when I think that was after they pulled up that stat where Michael Pittman had the most receiving yards, followed by Jonathan Taylor, and then Zach Pascal had the most after that, and I think he was at like 400 receiving yards on the season. So I know at that time we needed wide receiver badly.
Who else came out in that draft? Because I remember George Pickens. He was on my list, but I don't think that's who I was sold on. I think the guy that I wanted actually went right before Alec Pierce. and it wasn't Pickens, but I'll have to figure that out. But that's neither here nor there. But no, like, yeah, I like our guys. How do you feel about them?
So here's the thing, and this is going to be what's going on, Josh. So here's the thing. I feel like we could see a scenario where we possibly keep Pierce.
Mm-hmm.
Like we sign Pierce, we sign Downs, but I think Pittman possibly ages out, and then we actually don't end up re-signing him. And the only reason why I say that now is just because of the fact that I love Pittman, but also the thing about Pittman is that he's definitely a possession guy. He's not the fastest. Like, he's somebody who you can kind of send over the middle because he's going to be able to kind of bring down those tougher catches, I'm going to say bring down those passes that you would expect, kind of like that short to intermediate, because that's where he's kind of made his money for the most part over the last few years. I know we saw flashes during that year with Wentz, but we haven't seen as much recently, right?
Right.
But the problem that we have with that is now you have Tyler Warren. And essentially, you got Tyler Warren to make sure that you have a possession guy who's going to potentially be exploiting those shorts and middles, doing a lot of what Michael Pittman does. Michael Pittman just does it going from the outside, moving inside. Whereas now you're going to have that kind of production, I'm going to say, maybe like on the line. But then if I'm looking at what this team is potentially going to be offensively, if this team ends up being a team that I'm going to say has multiple weapons, has multiple threats all over the field, I think Pittman could be the odd man out, because you have an Alec Pierce who has shown that he's going to be able to, I'm going to say, catch those tough possessions, but also has speed. You have AD, who's the bunter. You have Josh Downs, who can run any route on the route tree and is going to be able to exploit the ins and outs of any defense.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Tyler Warren, who now you have your sure-handed possession guy who's going to be able to get large chunks of yards. But the other thing is that he's also going to be able to block and release off the line. So now he's going to take all that attention that generally you might have seen Pittman get when you move him inside, when you have him running on those slants, when you have him running on those things. We have deep threats. We have guys who you have on the intermediates. And so if you get that production out of Tyler Warren, I think Michael Pittman doesn't get the type of looks that he was previously getting, because now he's not going to command that type of attention.
But here's the opposite for me. And the guy I was talking about was Christian Watson, but his hand.
Christian Watson, okay.
That's who I wanted that draft. But they took it right before us. But anyway, but here's where I see something slightly different. For the longest, Michael Pittman was the central focus of defenses. This is the only guy that can hurt us. Now you relinquish that, because now you're like, well, we got to pay attention to number 1. You know, number 10 is pretty solid if he catches the ball. Number 14 showed last year that if he gets a step on you, you're cooked. And oh, by the way, we had the most productive tight end in the college football era, or the college football last year, come in, and now he's on the field too. And they got 28. And oh shit, 5 might take off, or 17 might take off. We ain't even really worried about Michael Pittman. And then Michael Pittman is the dog again, because I'm looking at it like this. And please don't beat me down, Colts Colts fans. But look at who Tampa has had for now, 11, 12 years. Mike has never been the fastest. He's always been the strongest. He's always been a dog, physical receiver. But Mike Evans has never been the fastest guy. Great hands. He's going to go up and make tough catches. But the difference with him is the ball has always been forced to him. I think if we had solid quarterback play, we wouldn't be having this conversation, because somebody like Carson Wentz, when he did it, would have continuously just forced the ball to Michael Pittman, and Michael Pittman would have made more plays, had more yards. That's that type of thing. But we haven't had consistent quarterback play. If we can get anything that's halfway consistent, Michael Pittman is still very much a threat. And again, he's locked up for 3 more years or 4 more years?
Who, Pittman?
Yeah.
No, I believe he's got two. Well, I think this might have been his first year on his deal, but let
Yeah.
me
Last
let
year.
me
Yeah.
just go
Last year
ahead
was
and
his first year on the deal.
yeah. So he has 2 more years because remember it was a 3-year deal.
Was it a 3-year deal? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So he got 2 more years on the deal, and he's at what 26, 27 years old right now.
Yes,
Okay.
I believe so.
So I mean, yeah, like I don't want to, advance the future, right? So of course, when you're looking down the road 2 years from now, yeah, it might be. But I think his play over the next 2 years, like I don't see Michael Pittman, going from our top receiver to, because these other guys now are emerging, like he's third or fourth. He's still going to command his targets. He's still going to get open. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and Shane Steichen, sometimes it's a very difficult problem to have that, hey, I want all these guys. I want all these guys. I want all these guys. And when you get them, like, how are you scheming them up? You know what I'm saying? Like you
Mhm.
got to you got to scheme them up. So it'd be interesting to see, how the offense actually moves with all these guys now. But I mean, week 1, first possession, it's gonna look disgusting if they trot out there and it's Mike, it's Josh, and Alec, and then you got one tight end, and that's Tyler Warren and AR, and let's say JT is behind him. What? Pick your poison. It's about to be fun, boys.
Yeah.
Ready, set, hike. Let's get active, and then you bring AD in to give somebody, what I mean, a quick little breather or whatever. Like, come on now. I say you keep riding with that. That's going, because again, we have found guys that I feel like can be very effective and work for us without having to command the attention and the ball like these top guys. So I'm okay with what we got.
Yeah. Yeah. And and like I said, I just posed it as a question because, you know, y- depending on how this year goes,
Uh-huh.
it changes the landscape of what we're going to be looking at from a roster perspective.
Facts.
Because mind you, if for some reason, let's just say everything is bad, AR is not good, Daniel Jones isn't good. Essentially, you're looking at sweeping changes that may include getting a rookie in here.
Oh,
But
you
if
have to. Yeah, there's nothing else that's going to happen outside of that. You have to.
yeah, but the thing is also that means that you're then not dedicating any amount of guaranteed money into a QB contract where we know that when you don't have QB contracts on the team, you have a lot more salary cap to work with long term.
Oh, big facts. Big facts.
So that's going to be I'm going to say a big deal when it comes down to what you're looking at. So when I'm looking at it, like let's just say if AR was able to get his stuff together, he goes off this year and he has a good year, he remains healthy. You have to mull possibly going and paying him, which means that based on the way that quarterback contracts are set up now, you're potentially talking about at minimum looking at maybe like 40 mil a year where that changes the landscape for who you're going to keep when it comes down to long-term changes and things like that.
But I feel like they're gonna force. Like I feel like they would force his hand though. Meaning, like, let's say he came out and he played all. He was the guy for all 17 of the 18 weeks, and he had a great season. And yes, it's the third year, and yes, it started to talk about extensions and this and that and the other. But he still has the history. They're gonna take that the same route as how long it took San Francisco to pay Purdy, in my opinion. He was Mr. Irrelevant, and now he's the highest paid quarterback or whatever. Like, that's an insane story. But he worked his tail off, and they wanted to make sure, like, look, we ain't going to give you this too soon, too early, because you've had a couple good years. Like, we going to pay you at the last minute. I feel like Anthony would be in that position, and he would have to understand that. So
Yeah.
it would give them a little bit of leeway to figure out what they needed to do next season before dropping the 40 mil or whatever it might have you. But I mean, I don't know. I don't even want to discuss that right now. I just want to get Camp on the way and see what's going to happen, because I have all the high hopes for him. But then I seen like a very, very disturbing graphic today. I think it was Colts Cove. Shout out to Colts Cove on Instagram. And it gave every yearly stat from Anthony's his freshman year in high school all the way to now.
Okay.
And it's pure nasty work. as, much, as much as AR is my guy, and I shouldn't be calling him that. He's still Anthony until he earns that AR. But it's pure nasty work. Like it's not even about defending it because it's kind of irrelevant to defend it. The numbers are what they are. And we know what the potential can be just because he has some exciting moments in the NFL and in college. But, man, there's never been a consistent anything. There's never been a consistent completion percentage. There's never been a consistent amount of yards produced annually through the air. It's never been a consistent amount of completions, like nothing. And it's like, yeah, I don't even know what bag to go in to defend this because you can't. You know what I'm saying? And so all we have to do now is just be like, all right, buddy, go out there, silence the noise and play and stay healthy, whatever that means. Like, and that's so crazy to say because what are you really like fighting against? Like, are you fighting against self? Like, you know, you pray over your body every morning, you put the work in, you know you're ready, and you be like, please don't get hurt. Like, that's insane, right? Like, who does that? You know what I'm saying? Like that's so demoralizing to even think. Like when somebody says, "Oh, he's injury prone," but there's no way for you to detect when the next injury is happening. Like there's no way to be like, game 5 is when I went out and boom, that happened. Like what? Like so I can only imagine what his mind is trying to process. And let me show everybody what I can do. I know I can do this, though my numbers have not really shown that. But then B, let me show everybody I'm not injury prone. Like, what does that even mean? Like,
yeah. But then again, it's just because, you know, like I said, I know players, they hear the outside talking.
Yeah.
And I think that's with and you know, like anything with professional sports, you're going to know that there are certain things that you're going to have to escape because it's not like, you know, the NFL is something different where, you know, fans don't talk and there's a whole entire ecosystem of people who are just like, oh, well, we'll just wait and see. That's not the case. But no. I think what you have to do is like you have to really be able to say, this is what's going on right now. This is what's happening. And this is what needs to change in order for things to be better. Like these players, they know exactly what it is. And these players, they also know that everything that they're doing is basically going from contract to contract. Of course, the goal as a team is to go ahead and reach a Super Bowl. It's to win a championship. It's to be MVP. It's to get all these accolades because at the end of the day, the more you produce, the longer you can stay in the game as long as injury doesn't necessarily derail that.
Facts.
And that's something that we know because, you know, like I said, we've spoken to people. We've spoken to these people who said, listen, this is what my guys are looking for. If for some reason, you know, certain people aren't getting the ball, they're going to hear that because at the end of the day, it's just like, you know, somebody getting 800 yards in the season as opposed to 1,300 yards in the season could be a $5 billion difference per year.
Yeah, well, incentives are the things that cripple, in my opinion, teams because it becomes like if the team is not doing good, but that incentive is still very much there, then now am I a selfish person because I'm aiming for that incentive, but the team is kind of, you know, cooked. You know, I don't know, but those things are what also drive motivation.
Yep.
So then now you looking at motivation, is motivation team oriented or is it just like, you know, I'm a team of me. I'll keep getting my numbers. I'll keep making my contracts. We ain't never won shit. Y'all will trade me eventually. Maybe when I get close to the end of my career, I can be like, yeah, I didn't made enough. I'll take a contract cut and then I'll go somewhere and win a championship in year 12. And retire or whatever. Like, I mean, these guys might have it planned out, but I'm gonna stack the bag while the bag is still very much calling my name. And so sometimes that can be, you know, the downfall of an organization. But I don't think we really got players that are driven like that. I
don't. And you know, and the thing is, like I said, I understand where that comes from. But then I also understand the fact that at the end of the day, the NFL isn't a business that guarantees you 20 years in the game and then you can retire and ride off into the sunset. Like the thing is, it's just like it's, you know, the NFL is in no way like the military, for example. Like it's just like you're newly retired and now you're able to kind of enjoy the spoils of the time in. Whereas in the NFL, guys are lucky if they make it past 5 years.
Facts. I mean, you're a veteran at year 3. Like
Exactly.
they calling Anthony a veteran already. I'm like, huh?
Yeah, it's like, are you a veteran?
A veteran of what? I mean, like the football team? Absolutely not. But
Yeah.
maybe but it is what it is, man. But all right, let's move on to
Let's move
running
on.
back.
Let's move on to running backs. And now, Jonathan Taylor, of course, de facto RB1, regardless. But now there's some other things posed, right? So
Yeah.
picked up Khalil Herbert in the offseason free agency.
First off, before we go on, let me just throw some hate toward all of the voters, if you will, of how they're rating players. Jonathan Taylor being the 7th best running back is absolutely insane. But anyway, back to what you were saying.
So so
Nonsense.
you have Khalil Herbert signed during free agency. DJ Giddens drafted him in the 5th round this season. To me, it was just like very like fantastic value pick for us. And then you still have Goodson on the roster. So now the thing is this room is probably one of the more competitive rooms when it comes down to the offense, because outside of Jonathan Taylor, these guys are jockeying for who's going to play. And you assume that there's only going to be 2 guys who are going to actually be there other than Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, Goodson's out of there, bro. Like the fan, I mean, let's just cut to the chase. The fans haven't forgiven him for 2 years ago. And last year he didn't really make a lot of, headway in saying, okay, look, that's behind me. I am a guy. Like he's just in the room at the moment. To me, Khalil's going to get we're using your word, de facto tonight, the de facto number 2 slot, just because he's proven he's been in the league. He does his thing. He catches the ball well out the backfield, which, isn't JT's strongest suit. And so for that, he gets a slight edge over the rook. But I'm telling you right now, a hiccup or, a slight injury or something, knock on wood, definitely don't want that, but a slight injury, to Khalil, like, I don't know, like he's out with like a little, like, the hamstring tightness, he might not get his job back. Giddens is ready. Giddens a dog, bro.
Yeah.
Like from the way he was raised, from his father, his mindset, like, he's always kind of been like, oh, he's not the fastest guy, but this dog, the boy gonna go get his yards, the boy gonna go do what he gonna do. He's elusive. That dude is dangerous, right? And to me, I feel like, if we do this right, and by no means am I aging JT out, because JT's only 26. But if this guy just stays where he needs to be, and it's maybe time to think about who's after JT, this guy might be just whoop, just jump right into the seat. You know what I mean? Down the road. But I like those 3. Goodson's out of there. Now we talked pre-show, like Nyheim Hines, kind of like Victor Oladipo, they both, back, and they were once Pacers and Colts. And like, I'm just a person who likes, our guys. I'm like, man, it'd be great to bring Nyheim back, but like, there's no space for him, for real. And you would have to get even more creative and saying, okay, I got DJ Giddens, I got Nyheim, I got Khalil, and I got JT. What do I do? Right. Like, but I think Nyheim at that point would know he would have to work his way back. So he'd probably be special teams heavy if he still got it, got to go through the whole thing. But we're talking about something that doesn't even exist right now. But man, Nyheim gave us some great moments. So I just had to put that out there.
So I'm going to be honest. I absolutely, like, I love Nyheim. I love everything that he was about when he was here, but that time's past, dog. The thing about it is that he's coming off of like a major leg injury that took him out of commission for like damn near 2 years.
Yeah.
And you're expecting him to come back and potentially be the same Nyheim Hines that we had in 2020. Because mind you, the things that he was doing was during that COVID year, back when them stadiums was empty. Like, he literally was out there playing him and JT together, and he's catching passes from JT, and he didn't want to be here. Okay, that's fine. But you're talking about 5 years later, And not only that, but the thing is, we'll be the first team that he's with after rehabbing and having that leg injury. On top of that, he's a smaller player who's closer to 30 than he was previously, and who was probably like knocking on 30's door, who potentially doesn't have that same speed and quickness and all that. And mind you, we just got DJ Giddens.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's a tough sell now, after draft and all that. But I mean, it's a thought. It's kind of like how the Shaq Leonard thing creeps in your mind. Like, he's back, he's been working out. Like, I don't know, but you're like, they already took the damn mural down. Like, that ship is shelled. Like, they're not gonna take the mural down and bring him back and then maybe put it back up. Like, that'll be a hell of a story. But yeah, like, I don't know, man. I'm just one of those guys. Like, I guess I'm too faithful to our guys. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it's the situations like that. And he didn't want to be here because I'm gonna just call it what it was, man. Like, we didn't have a winning culture. Like, and maybe he was not afraid to say something about it. Like, Frank Wright was doing some wild stuff back in those days, bro. Some things just never made sense. And I'm like, oh my God, you got Naheem and JT, and sometimes we can't gain a yard. Like, what are we doing? So I don't know, but that was many moons ago and many sleepless nights ago.
So then given that, I'm with you. I think Goodson is the odd man out because
he's out of here.
I mean, other than power back, scat back Trey Sermon, who we got rid of, he's another guy who wasn't able to establish himself. No. And that's just what it is. So for me, and like I said, it's just like I think Herbert is going to be that change of pace back, and I think Giddens does have the makeup and the potential to just come in and be like the nastiest 1-2 punch. I said best case scenario is we end up having something similar to what we saw with the Giants. I think back in like 07, 08, back when they had what's the name? They had Brandon Jacobs, they had Ahmad Bradshaw, they had I think it was Derek Brown or Derek Brooks, whoever that running back was, where all three of them ran for 1,000.
It was nasty work.
And the crazy thing is, it's just like this line also has the running backs along with the line have the capability to be able to do the same thing, health willing and everything else. So, I mean, honestly, it's just like those three, I think, are probably one of the best running back cores that we will have seen in a very, very long time on this team.
I think, and I'm telling you, man, pressure bust pipes. And it's going to be so interesting to kind of hear Shane, even though he doesn't give a lot. He never really tells you much, but it's going to be really interesting to hear him talk about, like when we get into camp and, we're getting closer to the season, what this offense is going to look like. Because in all honesty, like, you're going to have to be Philadelphia Eagle mindseted when it comes to the players that you have, because all of our guys can be dangerous. Saquon, some kind of way, almost ran for 2 G's last year. You still had A.J. Brown that went for like, what did he go for, 1,300 or something like that?
13, 14, I believe.
Yeah, 13, 14. You was getting good quality play out of the tight ends. They didn't have monster numbers, but then you were still getting solid play from receiver 2 and receiver 3. Like, so, and you got Jalen Hurts, who, solid numbers for him, even though he struggled a little bit to start the season, but he was running around doing his thing. Like, everybody was kind of like doing stuff, you know what I'm saying? So I know what his philosophy is, you know what I'm saying? It's pass the score, run to win. Got it. But, like, what adjustments are you looking to make to ensure that these guys are being utilized at the right times? Because we've had some questionable play call moments. Like, bro, we were running the hell out the ball, for a quarter straight, and then all of a sudden you threw the ball 10 times in a row. Like, what?
Yeah, exactly. Like, the play calling made no sense.
Where are we doing that at? You know what I'm saying? So it's like those moments are what we're going to be witnessing, or I'm sorry, not witnessing, replaying in our mind, hoping to never witness again because it didn't make sense. And it's just like, are you just trying to do something because you got this on your play sheet and you want to call it versus what's working today? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
So.
All right. And then, like I said, we're going to be wrapping up here soon. But of course, last but not least, quarterback.
Flip a coin, bro. At this point, I'm just so over this. Like, it's been discussed ad nauseum by everybody. everybody's individual podcast, every major podcast and sport network. It is what it is. This is what we're calling competition. It's Daniel Jones versus Anthony Richardson. We know that. Do we know if somebody got the leg up? Maybe, maybe not. We know that he missed a lot of OTAs and mini camp and all that, talking about Anthony. But you know what? Physically gifted, there's no question. He's the more physically gifted. He's the better athlete. Daniel Jones, though it's limited, or not limited, though it's kind of earmarked, if you will, he's a better passer by percentage and stuff like that. We've talked about his numbers. They're not blowing you off, out of the water, like making you be like, wow, this guy is the next. But I mean, he's 65% guy in his career. And when he's been protected, he's been halfway decent. And when he's had a running game, he's been even better. So I don't know, man. But if I had to go out here right now, and everything is the way it's supposed to be, no injuries, everybody performs well, there's no setbacks, Anthony's the guy, bro. Like, and I know he's getting paid $14 million talking about Daniel Jones, and that's good enough to be starter money when you're, trying to reassemble yourself, if you will. But I don't even care about that. Maybe the $14 million would be well spent if it really puts pressure on Anthony to be better. Then we just write that off next year. That was $14 million to make this kid who we think he was going to be, and now we could pay him whatever we're going to pay him for the next 10 years. Yeah. I'll take that as the $14 million reason. But by no means does that dollar amount say you have to start.
Yeah, and you know what? And I'm gonna say, just to kind of double down, I do feel like this is AR's job to lose, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's just like you still have a lot invested in him. You invested the 4th overall pick. You invested a lot of you invested a lot of capital. You invested a lot of. I'm gonna say you've invested your franchise. You put your job on the line to draft him. And there's no way that you can just go and cop out, because the thing is, if you just say that Daniel Jones is going to be the guy, then that means that ultimately that you failed. And the thing is, at this point, it's just like, as a GM that's been given a very, very, very long leash, you can't afford to say in your first pick at quarterback, the first time ever picking at quarterback, that this was an absolute failure. Because if you ultimately are saying this is an absolute failure, and you're doing that by getting somebody who hasn't proven that they too can be a winner, I can see if you had went and gotten a Matt Stafford or somebody who's proven that they can not only be a starter, but they've proven with their play that they're one of the best in the league to me, all time. Mm-hmm. That now you are investing in the fact that you need to turn this around. But nothing about this has made sense. And that's the reason why, to me, the $14 million when you're not paying a quarterback is basically chump change, because you're not really paying a whole lot of other people either.
Facts. And he said his clock starts once he drafted, and this is year 3 of the person he drafted. And oh, by the way, like, by no means are these things supposed to align, but it's like Jim Irsay's no longer here. Does he have that same relationship with, Carly and the girls? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And maybe, if this don't work out, then there's a whole other story to be unfolded going into 26. But that's a mini calendar flips away. We'll stay in 25 for now.
Yeah. And you know what? And that's the thing, because you also have to realize AR has another year.
He does, which is crazy. Like, we keep writing him off like, oh, if he don't do it. But he's like, dog, he's still got a 4th year that he's under contract for. Like, that's crazy. Like, if we get nothing out of him in 4 whole seasons, bro, this might go down as like, this is the most insane thing ever.
Yeah, mismanagement is what you're looking for. Yes, but I still
say he should be starting for the first time this September. We so screwed the pooch on that. This should be his unveiling right now. We should have been, oh man, Anthony Richardson time is coming. He's learned. He sat behind X, Y, and Z. This is his year, just like Jordan Love had. We should be doing that, but instead we're like, oh God. We have 2 injury-riddled seasons and a couple highlight moments and a terrible completion percentage going into year 3. And I don't know if the kid's confidence is right and everything else, and a sore shoulder to boot. Man, wrap this shit up, Chris.
Well, with that being said, people, we thank you for being with us again. Make sure that you are following us on social media. Clyde, where can the people find you?
You can find me at Colts Clyde on X primarily, and then I'm on Facebook, Clyde Oliver.
Yes, and you can find me on Twitter because it's the appropriate name at CJ Colts fan. And you can find the pod. Make sure that you are liking, following, sharing. Make sure that you are doing all the great things at Sick Pod Colts on Twitter. Make sure that you are liking and doing all the great things on the YouTube channel as well. For y'all watching on YouTube, we appreciate you. For everybody that's watching on Facebook, make sure that you follow Sarah Sick Podcast Info Show the same way it is on the top of the screen.
Absolutely. One other thing, too. So we got brought back into the fold by DraftKings. Shout out to our sponsor. Hey, hey, picks and all this. You guys going to do better this year. If you're gambling, because we know you gamble, you're gonna be gambling with the handle. You understand? Yep. So when we bring that back in the fall, we need y'all to get ups. Okay, DraftKings is bringing us back. It's great to have them as a sponsor. So let's utilize them heavy. And I'm starting way early before we even send out the first, DraftKings promo. Yep. So if you gamble, you're gambling with our handle.
Exactly. Pause. So then make sure that you are watching us, or you can listen to this recording that we're doing today, tomorrow, Wednesdays, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Central on Z103.com. You can go to Z103.com on there. And then also you can listen to the on the Z103.com app. Just search for it in the App Store or the Google Store, whatever you subscribe to. And then also make sure that you're listening on Mix 105. We also have our British compatriots that are also streaming the show, for which Pat still has not given me the information. But as soon as I have it, y'all will have it. I promise. So, yes. So make sure that you're doing that as well. And then make sure, please bring up the barcode for me, Sammy. Visit Indy.com. If you scan that QR code, that's going to take you to the Visit Indy website where you can see all the attractions happening. You might actually be able to see some things for the WNBA All-Star Weekend that they're having in Indy, I believe. And so make sure that you're using Visit Indy for all your attractions, hotels, all that good stuff. And so make sure that you do that. Next week we'll be back, and we'll be actually doing our last preview before training camp. Training camp is officially upon us. We're a little more than a week out, but you know what? We can't wait. So and also training camp, July 28th, meet and greet with Jewel Ogletree. More info to come. Make sure that you're on the lookout. But with that being said, Clyde, anything else you need to tell the people?
No, that's it, man. I was glad to be back. Hopefully I could be more consistent. We'll see. I travel for work next week, so give me grace. I do.
He's the only person. Clyde's the only person I know who needs to work in Tulum. Like, what are we talking about right now?
Well, I have not pulled that one off yet, but I do travel to Reno for work next week.
Reno. Saying. Oh, Reno. He's going to be flying over Reno as he goes to Vegas. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he's going to be working a sneaker convention. Jesus.
Sammy,
all right, Sammy, take us out. Like, what? What?
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast and Bill Show on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.